Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the primary weapon, the Tenet Tetra. Now in this weapon series, I take a weapon, I build it out, and I test that weapon on its own merits, meaning I don't mix it with any kind of external factors that would increase weapon performance. That would be things like Warframe's using abilities, pets putting statuses on enemies, things like that. I just test the weapon built out by itself, and I let the viewers make their own intelligent conclusions about adding those external things. All right, let's go ahead and go into the Salt Prime Cave here. We have the top commenter of the last video. It is going to be R Graceful 1. The first commenter of the last video, Crabs on Crack. I love that name. And the recent supporters of Toxic Sneeze, Johnny and Eddie. Thank you so much for your support. And of course, we're doing the Tenet Tetra today. The Tenet Tetra was recommended to us by commenter Nicholas Egan 1059, and that's why we're doing it. I'm going to go ahead and go down into the arsenal here. Now, the Tenet Tetra is a energy assault rifle, and it has an alternate fire mode that shoots out an energy grenade. So it's an energy grenade launcher on the alternate fire, and it's a little energy assault rifle on its primary fire. The other thing with the Tenet Tetra is obviously it is a Tenet weapon, and to get this weapon, you're going to need to do the whole sister system, similar to Kuva Lich's, except it's the Corpus version. So you need to get a sister that has the Tenet Tetra. You need to do your sister, and then at the end of that whole process of doing your sister, she will give you the weapon at the end. With Tenet weapons, you're able to, and Kuva weapons, but in this case, Tenet weapon, you're able to pick the innate element that it starts with. Not every one. There's a few combined elements you can't pick, but a lot of elements you can pick. All of the basic elements plus magnetic or radiation. In our case, we're going to be going for a toxin progenitor for this. Okay, let's go into the Tenet Tetra itself here. And before we go over the mods, I want to go over a few more unique things. So the grenade launcher mode that the Tenet Tetra shoots is going to do more damage depending on how many shots are still left in the magazine. So the magazine has a total of 80, and at 80, it'll do the max damage. And if you only have one shot in the magazine left and you shoot your alternate fire, it's going to do the least amount of damage. If we scroll down to the grenade launcher mode here, you also notice that the grenade launcher mode has innate blast, which is really cool. And the Tenet Tetra is probably best compared to other similar weapons like the Stalta, like the Ambassador, like the Alternox. Now, unfortunately, the Tenet Tetra does not have multiplicative guncio like a lot of those weapons do. However, it's a Tenet weapon, and so you get a free mod slot. So like that's kind of the trade-off there. You know, it's not multiplicative guncio like they are, but you get a free mod slot. So you don't have to... a lot of those weapons, you always have to say, well, do I want to use bladed rounds or do I want to use hunter munitions? Like most of the time, those two mods are kind of fighting for the same spot. Well, in this case, you could use both of them because you have a free mod slot to kind of put the other one on there. Okay, so I think we can finally go over the mods here. We're going to have Galvanized Chamber for multi-shot. We're going to have Galvanized Scope for critical chance. We're going to have Primed Shred for fire rate and punch through. Primed Shred will be the best fire rate mod you can have on the Tenet Tetra. However, it's a login reward, and so a lot of people will not have access to this yet. And in that case, you'll just use Vial Acceleration. This is going to give you 90 fire rates. You'll actually get more fire rate, but you just won't get the punch through with it. Then we're going to go for Bladed Rounds for critical damage. Critical Delay for critical chance. Vital Sense for critical damage. Hunter Munitions for a 30% chance to apply a slash on a critical. And then we're going to be going for a cold mod, because remember, we have Toxin that we picked as our progenitor. And so we're going to be going for a viral build here. Viral will be the best choice that you can make unless you have a viral primer already. There's a lot of things in the game that can externally viral prime. And in that case, your best choice would be corrosive. And the cool thing with viral and corrosive is that they're both toxic progenitors. So you don't really have to worry too much. You can just grab yourself a toxin progenitor. And if you don't have a viral primer, you throw on a cold mod. And if you have a viral primer, you throw on an electric mod and all of a sudden it's corrosive. Corrosive will also be better in Murmur. So if you're doing like Whispers content against like Murmur and those constructs, you also might want to switch to corrosive, even if you don't have a viral primer, just because corrosive is going to do more damage to those Murmur enemies. Okay, so I wanted to explain this element slot real quick here. So viral and corrosive don't really care how to get to a large stack value. Corrosive, maybe kind of, but viral, not so much. Viral doesn't really care to get to a very high stack value. As long as you get a couple stacks of it, you're getting a lot of value out of viral. And so you don't need to really go hardcore by putting the 60/60 on here, rhyme rounds. Let me just type in rhyme rounds. And so in this case, we actually put the primed cryo rounds here. You know, we have a lower status chance because of that, but I mean, it's still a 30% status chance. That's still pretty damn good. Plus we have the multi-shot, which is like, when this is stacked up, it's going to be 3 shots with a 30% chance. So that means that every shot is likely to produce 1 stack of viral. I guess it could technically produce these other elements, but it's more likely going to be producing viral. And so I think you're pretty safe just going the primed cryo route. Now, I do want to make a little mention, though, and if I scroll down to the radial attack of the grenade launcher here, remember, it has innate blast. If you go the primed cryo route, you won't see this blast happen very often because viral is going to be happening more often. This is really going to depend on what you spam more. Do you spam the assault rifle mode more, or do you find yourself like spamming the grenade launcher mode more? If you find yourself spamming the grenade launcher more, then do consider taking off primed cryo rounds and putting the 60/60 here instead. Because now if you look, blast is pretty much at the exact same value as viral, and it'll be happening a lot more often. So you'll have a stronger alternate fire, but your primary fire will be slightly weaker. So those are like very, very like min-maxy changes. It's going to be hard to even tell the difference in damage between both of them. But if you really wanted to min-max it, if you like the assault rifle mode, if you find yourself shooting that more, go primed cryo. If you find yourself spamming the grenade launcher, go rhyme rounds. Okay. The other thing I wanted to make a little honorable mention with is the new magnetic mod. Magnetic capacity. Now, I don't think magnetic capacity, like personally me, I'm not going to be using this on this build. But there is something to be said that the higher you go up into Steel Path, you're starting to see like more and more and more Eximuses, or dudes that have Overguard, I should say. And magnetic obviously gets a lot of value out of overguarded enemies, or on overguarded enemies. This also increases your magazine capacity. So it makes you have a bigger magazine, which I think would also make your alternate fire do a little bit more damage. I didn't test that, but I'm going to assume so since it's based on mag size. So magnetic capacity is like a good honorable mention. You could make the decision to either put this over bladed rounds or hunter munitions. I think magnetic capacity is going to be best if you're doing very high level content. And if you're doing very high level content, hunter munitions is usually pretty damn good, and bladed round starts falling off. So I would probably put this over bladed rounds if you're doing high level content. So just kind of wanted to make a little honorable mention there. I'm not personally going to be using this because I do level cap like only a couple of times a month at most. But if you're a person that does a lot of level cap, magnetic capacity could be really good over bladed rounds here. Okay, in the Exilus slot, we're going to have primed rifle ammo mutation. This is going to convert secondary ammo pickups to 92% of ammo pickup. Now, the Tetra has an unfortunate thing. Let me type in Tetra into the mod slot here. Oh my goodness, it has a bunch of its own specific mods. It has kinetic ricochet, it has focused acceleration, and guess what? Both of these are really freaking good. Kinetic ricochet, shots now bounce up to 6 times and travel 30% further. That's really cool. It could be turning your misses into hits, basically. Things just bounce all over the place, especially when you have punch through. So yeah, really, really nice here. Focused acceleration when aiming, 80% projectile speed. Oh my goodness. There is travel time on the Tenet Tetra, and so this would make it easier to be getting those headshots. So both of these are really, really good. Why the hell aren't we using it? It's because the Tenet Tetra, especially if you plan to use the alternate fire mode, is probably one of the most ammo-hungry weapons in the entire game. And so even though it has really good mods, or specific mods, I should say, we don't really get to use them because of its crazy ammo hungriness. We really need to be using primed rifle ammo mutation. Now, if you were to completely forego ever shooting the alternate fire and you were just going to use this as an assault rifle, which I wouldn't recommend because there's probably just better assault rifles in the game. To get the most value out of the Tenet Tetra, you should be kind of mixing both of the modes. But if you were just using this as an assault rifle, it doesn't have as many ammo issues because you're not dumping an entire mag on an alt fire shot. And so if you're just using this as an assault rifle, you could use kinetic ricochet or focused acceleration because these are really friggin' good. But if you intend to play the Tenet Tetra to what I believe is the maximum standard, which is using both the primary and the alternate fire, you need to be using primed rifle ammo mutation. And every alternate fire shot is dumping 80 rounds, which is crazy. And you know how I said the magnetic mod could be really good here? Well, the magnetic mod is going to be dumping even more of your ammo per shot. So, consider that too. If you go the magnetic route over bladed rounds, you really don't have any room to be changing primed rifle ammo mutation. Okay. In the arcane slot, we're going to be going for primary deadhead. This is going to give us 360% flat damage, 30% headshot multiplier, and minus 50% weapon recoil. It makes sense. We're going for a galvanized scope build, it's a headshot build. So it just makes sense to go deadhead here. Now I want to explain something. This is actually going to be very similar to like how the Stalta plays, in that you really should, even if you like the grenade launcher and you want to spam the grenade launcher, you will get more value if you are mixing it with the primary fire. And it's because the primary fire can stack galvanized scope up to 5 times, and the alternate fire can bank on that 320% crit chance. You know, without galvanized scope, you're just going to be yellow critting with the alternate fire. But with galvanized scope fully stacked up, you might be orange and red critting with the alternate fire. So you get a lot more value out of it. So, okay, I think that is it for the build here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show this in about 10 minutes of Steel Path Mott gameplay. We'll see what kill count it can get at the end of that. I'm going to be doing this on a big dumb Anaros with no Archon shards that increase weapon performance. No mods or arcanes on the Anaros that increase weapon performance. And with a pet with no sentinel weapon and no mods on the pet that increase weapon performance. So let's get in here and let's take a gander at the Tetra. Let's go into solo. If I have any ammo issues and I have to use an ammo pad, I will say so. I will make sure I let you guys know when I use an ammo pad. That way you can like tell for yourself, like, oh, it has a lot of ammo issues. You know what I'm saying? You could be like, oh, Assault used friggin' 2 ammo pads in 5 minutes. It does really have ammo issues. Which I am probably gonna think this is gonna need ammo pads.
They have just shut down all systems. I'm sending life support capsules your way.
All right, so let's get some headshots here. Let's get our conditionals up. I'm gonna throw an alternate fire here. Basically, every other mag, I kind of want to do an alternate fire. I'm going to look for a good group of enemies and give them an alt fire. Shaboom. And then the next mag, I want to make sure I have my stacks of scope up. All right, I'm going for a reload. I'm going to go for an alt. Bam. Very, very similar to the Stalta gameplay, where you stack scope up with the primary, and then you alt fire to bank on the scope stacks. Going for a reload. I think that's a good group right there. Shaboop. That was kind of a bad alternate fire. I shouldn't have shot into that Arctic Eximus's little shield there. Looks like a good group to alt fire in. For ribbon stats for this weapon, I think crit chance would be really good because crit chance would likely get you into reds. Crit chance, crit damage, and probably just multi-shot. The basic god roll. Obviously, you can't choose what rolls you get, but if you could, or if you want to buy it on the market, that's probably what you'd be looking for. You could probably also double alt fire. Let me see. Let me see if I double alt fire if I'll lose, if it'll take too much time and I'll lose any scope stacks. No, I lost one scope stack. That's not too bad. And then you would just replace it on your next magazine. So you could do that too. You could do 2 alt fires and then go to a primary fire mag. Up to you, really. Up to you. Let's try that again. 1, 2, and then go right back into it. And I'm back at 5 stacks. Now, obviously, depending on the enemies, some enemies are really hard to get your headshot kills on. Murmur enemies really suck for it, for instance. Murmur enemies, you might want to spend a little bit more time in the primary fire. Like, I probably wouldn't go for a double alt shot in on Murmur. Just because you need to really be using those dogs that the Murmur enemies have to get your headshots on. Because those are really easy headshot kills for Murmur enemies. Everything else is really shitty. All right, we're going to have the Acolyte coming. The alternate fire will do a lot of damage to the Acolyte. The primary fire will just be mediocre. It'll feel like every other assault rifle in the game. All right, there he is. Did I not hit him? I should have aimed when I shot that alternate fire for bladed rounds. That was my bad. All right, let's go for a reload and then finish this guy off. Stop teleporting. There we go. I hate Torment. He teleports behind you with his stupid Hydroid ability. There we go. Every time I went for an alternate fire shot, he was like in his little Hydroid ability going behind me. If you want to alt fire early, you can too, like I just did there. It'll do a little bit less damage because like your magazine will be a little bit lower. Like I alt fired at like 40 shots in the mag. But it'll still be decent. I mean, it'll still be like AoE damage. I think it's best to use an entire mag to alt fire on. But you could kind of like split your mag. Do a little bit primary, a little bit alternate fire. Don't really matter. Whatever you like.
Extraction is ready. Support levels. Extraction.
All right, we might have to pick up some life support. Maybe. Let's see. Where is it? Where is it? It's in this room. Let me pick up like one. I think one will be enough to finish the video on. We just need to get to 10 minutes. It's like 2 more minutes away. We'll see what the scores at the end of 10 minutes. So very meta weapons, like things like the turret or a lot of the incarnate weapons, are going to be scoring 900 and over in kills after 10 minutes. And very average weapons, like basic assault rifles, will be scoring about 500 or 600 kills in 10 minutes. Now, this is kind of a basic assault rifle, but it's got the little bit of a difference where it's a Tenet weapon, so you get a free mod slot. And it has the alternate fire, which helps it out too. So I think it'll be better than an average assault rifle. I don't think it'll be near like the turret or incarnates though, unfortunately. We'll see though. We'll see its kill count at the end. I'm gonna guess 700 kills. That's what I'm gonna guess in 10 minutes. I think it's going to be above average, but not in the meta category. About 30 seconds left. Let's get a couple alt fires here. Shabam. Shabam. I'm just kind of ignoring Vord because I don't want to mess my kill numbers up. I want to give this a fair shot versus all the other weapons we've done. And Vord can sometimes be a pain in the ass because you got to shoot him in his tummy. That's it. 10 minutes. Okay, stop. I'm stopping firing. I'm going to find extraction, which is this way, and then we'll take a gander at our kill numbers here. 729. Okay, so very, very close to what I thought it was. So this is an above average weapon, which makes sense. You know, an average weapon is most of the time going to be an average assault rifle. But because this is a Tenet weapon, which means you basically get a free mod slot, because it has an alternate fire, which kind of helps boost up its primary fire, it's going to be slightly better than average, and so it's in that above average category at the 700 plus kill range. So it's a good weapon. It's worth building out, but it's not going to be like the, doomsday machine that people are looking for in their weapons. Now, I'm not personally a mag enjoyer, but I do wonder, if you're a mag enjoyer, let me know. Does the bounce Exilis on the Tetra, does that really do like crazy on mag? Like I could see maybe the Exilis that makes it bounce up to 6 times being really good in mag's bubble. Maybe. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Again, I'm not a mag player. So yeah, that's the video there, guys. If you liked it, consider giving it a like. If you haven't subbed yet, consider subbing or tell me what I can do to earn your sub. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. All right, bye.